Hi, this is Michael O'Leary from Buy the Book Taxes again with the next video blog in the series on innocent spouse relief. This is the third in the series that deals with the version of innocent spouse called Equitable Relief, Section 6015F. In the last two presentations, I went over a little bit more expanded legislative history of innocent spouse, which really dates back to 1938 when Congress passed legislation putting into place joint and several liability. I'm not going to go through all of that again. Suffice it to say, the most recent legislative act regarding innocent spouse was in 1998. Congress passed the Irs Reform Act, which got rid of old Internal Revenue Code section 6013 and replaced it instead with the new code section 6015, which expanded innocent spouse and gave two additional relief requests or filing options. The traditional stayed. There was a traditional innocent spouse in Code Section 6013, but Code Section 6015 expanded that to include 6015C, separation of liability, and 6015F, equitable relief, which we're going to talk about today. Okay, here are the necessary requirements for a successful equitable relief filing. Here are the things that you must have, the components you must have in order to be successful. First of all, as with all of the innocent relief filings, initially there must have been a valid joint tax return filed voluntarily by the spouses with their consent, without any threats or duress. For the equitable relief filing, the requesting spouse or ex-spouse must not qualify to file under Code Section 6015B, traditional, or 6015C, separation of liability. If your case qualifies under either of them, do them. Don't do the equitable relief. The third requirement is that there is a tax liability due, either due to under withholding or lack of payment of tax liability, or non-payment of a balance due after filing. Here's something, the next one is very good, where in the past, innocent spouse filings had to occur within 2 years of when the IRS initiated collection activities against the requesting spouse. That's not true for equitable relief. You have up to 10 years from when the tax was assessed, basically the entire statutory period that the IRS has to collect the tax, to do the filing. So once the IRS can no longer legally collect the tax from you, then you can't file for relief. But as long as you're within those 10 years, you can. And the last two deal with fraud. You can't have spouses or ex-spouses fraudulently transferring assets to make it look like one spouse has no money and can't pay the tax prior to doing the filing. Or the requesting spouse cannot knowingly be part of filing a fraudulent joint tax return and then claim relief. Okay, equitable relief there's a lot more moving parts to equitable relief than to the traditional innocent spouse or the separation of liability. And the reason for this is that the 1998 Act and the expansion of the innocent spouse filings was really meant to address a lot of what was considered the inequities of the original innocent spouse rules put in place in 1971. So there are a lot of factors that are considered before granting or denying equitable relief. Here are 7 of them. I'm not going to go into detail because, you could write books and chapters on this subject, but these are the factors that the IRS looks at when weighing whether or not to grant relief or to deny relief. And these factors can either be in the favor of granting relief, be neutral, or be negative as far as granting relief. The one that I would put emphasis on is number 7, mental or physical health. There is a lot of consideration given to abuse, either physical abuse, mental or emotional abuse that may occur during a marriage or even after couples have separated or divorced in this area. So in the past, that was not a factor, but now it is. So these are the factors that the IRS gives a lot of thought to before either granting or denying the request for equitable relief. If the IRS approves the equitable relief filing, here's what it looks like. The tax liability is allocated amongst the spouses based upon the income, just like it is in a traditional innocent spouse filing. Refunds also may be available under equitable relief as long as the relief has been granted within 3 years of the original tax filing. So an allocation of tax liability between the spouses based upon income and refunds are available. If you have years of unfiled tax returns, if you owe the IRS or a state money, if you are recently divorced, considering divorce, legally separated, if you're getting collection letters from the IRS regarding tax liabilities in years past when you were married and the agreement was your ex-spouse was going to pay the taxes, give me a call, email me, I can help.